can hear you.
Several days later.
The Empire State has fallen.
People are just going crazy over the amount of taxes here.
There's no question, New York is facing an affordability crisis.
Escape from New York, the tax base has been fleeing the Empire State.
Top leaders in New York City say a wave of migrant crime has washed over the city. Foreign gang members terrorizing innocent New Yorkers.
Complete disregard for the law.
And Kathy Hochul's failed policies are to blame.
Worst governor in America. Worst governor in America. Worst governor in America.
Kathy Hochul made New York the most unaffordable state in the nation, crushing families with sky-high taxes, unaffordable rent, soaring energy costs, and record-high grocery bills. And cozied up to a defund the police, tax-hiking, anti-Semitic communist.
We came here to remake this state in the image of our people.
I can hear you.
Boy. So we got to talk about Democrat governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, her worst nightmare coming true after she decided to endorse communist Zohran Mamdani in the New York City mayor's race. Okay, now Zohran ended up winning that race because New York City at this point has basically become a socialist city, right? This is what they voted for. We're going to see what they get. I don't think it's going to be good, but I know, at least in the future, for Kathy Hochul, endorsing a socialist is probably not going to play well in the state that she is running for governor of. Okay, she's not running for governor of New York City. She's running for re-election as governor of New York. Okay, and the state of New York is not as far left as the city of New York, and you know this because Hochul is already pushing back on Zohran Mamdani's key campaign promise, which is to tax the rich. Okay, despite endorsing Zohran Mamdani, endorsing the tax the rich message, right, when actually asked about whether or not she's going to do it, she is walking that back, which in my opinion is going to create some problems for her, because the whole reason that she endorsed Zohran Mamdani is because she needs that support in the governor's race. But the fact that she's not actually going to do what he promised his voters that he's going to do, right? She's not going to allow him to do it. So that is probably going to cause her some problems in the future.
Given the reception you received last night at Zohran's rally, where people were chanting, tax the rich, are you going to hold the line on raising taxes, even if it means losing an endorsement or getting a primary challenge?
I couldn't hear what they were chanting. I thought they were saying, let's go Bills. I wasn't sure. When you're up there, I heard some noise. I heard a lot of cheers. But later on, it became clear to me that I know there's passion for that. I mean, I went in there as the leader of the Democratic Party, whose job it is to unify behind the Democratic nominee. I love the energy out there. I told them that. And I want to do is bottle all that up, use it in a few days, but take that to Long Island and the Hudson Valley and make sure that we can stop the insanity that's happening now while we're in the minority, while we don't have the power, the levers of power in Washington. I want to win back the House through New York. And what I saw in that stadium was refreshing and energizing to know we can harness all that, to be on the same team, and to make sure we can do a lot of great things for the people of this state and indeed the country. So, no, it was a great event. I enjoyed being there.
So would you change your mind about taxes?
Because of that event?
Because of that and
about conversations about
him endorsing you.
Well, I didn't ask him for his endorsement. That's the only reason he hasn't. They want to know my timeline. So let's get through this election. Let's let the focus be on your race. I have a lot of time to roll out my endorsements, of which there'll be many that I'll be proud of. So that's unrelated to the event. I want to be there.
We know that Mamdani does want to tax the rich more, bring it up about 2%. He can't do that on his own. You've previously said that you wouldn't be raising taxes. Have you reconsidered that stance?
No, I would say one energetic rally does not get me to change my positions, I assure you. But I do hear people's voices. I process what everybody says, but I'm also have to balance governing this state and making sure that those people who are actually the reason we have a generous, supportive budget that helps lift people up, It's their revenues that we tax. 1.5% of New Yorkers cover about a third of our budget. That's enormous. I'm concerned about outmigration of people who are the ones who are supporting our budget. I cannot make up for that with middle class tax increases. I cannot do that to the middle class and the struggling New Yorkers.
It's all a lie. And she knows it. She's literally saying, I'm not going to allow this to happen, but I'm going to get on stage with that snake oil salesman, and all of you idiots in the audience are just going to be like, yeah, this is going to happen.
Yeah. They're going to go to states where they don't have to deal with that commie bullshit. You think that they're not? You're out of your mind.
Support our show by supporting our sponsors.
Hear you? But I'm the type of person, the more you push me, the more I'm not going to do what you want. Okay? So little lesson to all of our friends out there. But hey, labor is in the house, right? Labor in the house? I can feel the energy, the power. And I know New York is in the house.
Yeah, seeing that, you heard that. Now, again, here's the problem for Hochul, right? Here's the problem for her. She's basically telling her base, right? She's telling the radical lunatics, screw you, I'm not going to do what I endorsed, right? I endorsed tax the rich, but I'm not going to do it, right? I just want you idiots to vote for me because, yeah, I'm running for re-election, right? That's basically what she's doing. The problem with this is that means that she's probably going to be at primary. Zohran Mamdani is probably not going to endorse her in the primary. And who knows? Maybe, just maybe, a socialist will beat her, okay? Because we already know that the Democrat base, they're full of socialists. Who knows? But if she does survive the primary, then she's going to have to take on Elise Stefanik, who is currently beating her in the polls. And Elise Stefanik has just declared that she is going to run for governor as the GOP nominee.
Elise Stefanik will clean up Kathy Hochul's catastrophe and restore New York's greatness. Elise Stefanik for governor.
Republican New York gubernatorial candidate Elise Stefanik joins us now. Congratulations on the big announcement this morning. I know you wanted to wait till after the election on Tuesday to make a decision. You announced it. You released that video this morning. Why do you want to be our next governor?
I'm running for governor to make New York affordable and safe. We have seen decades of single-party rule led by Democrats, and Kathy Hochul is the worst governor in America. New York is the most unaffordable state in the nation, with the highest taxes, the highest energy bills, the highest utility bills. We also have a crime crisis because Kathy Hochul has brought us failed bail reform and has embraced the defund the police Democrats. And after this week, Ainsley, when we saw a raging anti-Semite, pro-Hamas communist who wants to raise taxes, and frankly, he barely won the majority of New York City voters, Kathy Hochul endorsed him and bent the knee. She has failed New Yorkers. So this is a broad coalition of Republicans, independents, and Democrats who know that enough is enough. We need common sense leadership to make New York affordable and safe again.
So one of the things you talk about is affordability, and you featured that in your announcement ad. Let's watch it.
Elise Stefanik will make New York affordable and safe.
People in New York, no matter if you're a Republican, independent, or Democrat, enough is enough. We are the most unaffordable state in the nation because of single-party Democrat rule led by Kathy Hochul.
As a working mom, congresswoman, and fighter, Elise knows families need more help, and she'll make New York affordable. That's why she authored and passed the largest middle-class tax cut in New York's history, letting working families keep more of their hard-earned money. Elise will reduce your energy, utility, and grocery bills. She fought woke insanity in our schools, stood proudly with law enforcement, championed small businesses, and will never back down from fighting for New York families. With everything on the line, we need someone who will deliver results and make New York affordable and safe for families and small businesses to not just survive, but thrive. Elise Stefanik will clean up Kathy Hochul's catastrophe and restore New York's greatness. Elise Stefanik for governor. It's time to save New York.
Okay, and here's Kathy Hochul's response to that.
Elise Stefanik is running for governor of New York to do what she's always done, put Trump first. Elise Stefanik, she'll always put Donald Trump ahead of you.
So how are you going to combat that?
My response is I've always put New York families first. Kathy Hochul has put New York families last again and again and again. She's an accidental governor. She's only in this position because she was Cuomo's lieutenant governor. And when New Yorkers were looking for strong leadership from a governor, not to bend the knee to Zoran Mamdani, Kathy Hochul bent the knee. Why did she do that? Because she is hemorrhaging support, even in her own party among Democrats. This is a toxic governor who has a record of delivering the highest taxes in the nation, of hurting hardworking New Yorkers, of turning her back on law enforcement officers and small businesses. New York is in catastrophe because of Kathy Hochul's leadership. So I'm running to always put New York families first. That's what I've done in 10 years of Congress. And by the way, Kathy Hochul was fired after just one term in Congress because her constituents from Western New York know that she failed them, just like she is failing New Yorkers. And I will tell you, Lawrence, the number of Democrats who have reached out to us, who are supporting us in this campaign, these are people that previously voted for Kathy Hochul. They are voting for Elise Stefanik, as well as Republicans and independents, because they want to save our state.
I saw a couple. Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. So the reality is that I think that Elise Stefanik is a bulldog. I think that she can beat Kathy Hochul, and I think it's likely that she will beat Kathy Hochul. My only recommendation to her would be to lay off of the Israel stuff, right? In the sense that you are running for governor of New York. I know Republicans love to virtue signal their support for Israel, but I just don't think that nowadays with our modern politics, I don't think that that's going to work, right? I don't think that focusing on that more so than, again, affordability, which she is focused on, right? I don't think that that's going to help her out. I think part of the reason why Cuomo lost is because he wasn't really speaking to the real issues. And again, it seemed like he was more concerned about a foreign country than he was concerned about New Yorkers, okay? And as long as Elise Stefanik focuses on New York, okay, and the issues that New Yorkers are facing, she's going to be fine, right? She's going to be fine because our policies work, okay? Supply side, conservative economics, it works. And we have real life examples of how it can work. It's just that Republicans need to take advantage of this stuff, and they need to educate the voters and rally voters around capitalism, okay? So again, the reason why this is Hochul's worst nightmare is because of the fact that Stefanik is already beating Kathy Hochul by 1 point. Again, in a deep blue state like New York. Again, which really tells you how voters, even in, again, a blue state like New York, generally speaking, they reject Democratic power and control. The problem is that Republicans have to focus on the key issues, right? And to educate the voters and to rally the voters rather than, again, focusing on things that don't really win elections, okay? And as long as Elise Stefanik does that, if she sticks to the key issues, she's going to be fine. Let's read here. Shocking new poll has New York Representative Elise Stefanik beating Governor Hochul by 1 point in hypothetical 2026 matchup. New York could have a Republican governor next year, a shocking new poll claims. The Manhattan Institute poll released Tuesday shows North Country Representative Elise Stefanik narrowly beating Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul in a hypothetical 2026 matchup. The popular incumbent governor trails her firebrand GOP nemesis by 1 percentage point, according to the statewide survey conducted by the right-leaning think tank. It's the latest series of polls showing Hochul's controversial move to back Socialist mayor frontrunner Zoran Mamdani hasn't seemed to result in a boost in support. Well, of course not, because again, the general electorate rejects this type of stuff, okay? They rejected Democrats. This is why they lost in 2024, is because they lean into this, okay? They lean too heavily into the woke nonsense, into far left economic stuff, and it increased people's cost of living, okay? It's just up to Republicans to drive home that point and to educate voters about what's actually really making their lives work. The Manhattan Institute survey found Stefanik getting 43% support compared to 42% for Hochul, a statistical tie with the poll's 3% margin of error. 9% of those surveyed said they would vote for someone else, and 7% responded that they were not sure. The poll showed Stefanik, who has said she will officially declare her bid after the November 4th election, leading Hochul with those age 50 and up and among critical independent voters, especially in the suburbs. Stefanik leads Hochul 46% to 33% among independents and 54% to 37% on Long Island, the poll found. But Hochul beat Stefanik in the Hudson Valley 45% to 36%, according to the survey of 600 likely voters taken last week. her campaign dismissed the findings because the poll was conducted by a right-leaning think tank. Yeah, so here's the thing. We're going to need more polls to find out how much support she actually has. But the fact that there are polls out there already showing that she would beat Kathy Hochul before she announces means that she has a strong shot, right? And that she has time to campaign, and that there's a good chance that she could actually flip New York red. Okay, we could actually win the New York governorship. I have confidence that it's going to happen. And again, one of the reasons why I have confidence that it's going to happen is because I'm confident that Mamdani's policies are going to destroy New York City, right? And Hochul being attached to that is going to bite her in the butt, right? She is going to regret endorsing the Socialist because of the fact that she's going to be associated with whatever disasters happen to New York, okay? Because you have the business community already sounding the alarm on the fact that, hey, this guy does not seem to be very business friendly, okay? And again, a lot of his policies are not going to lead to more affordability because of the fact that socialism doesn't lead to affordability, right? I mean, it's just basic economics, basic business stuff, as explained by Kevin O'Leary.
So, pragmatically, I and others who invest in real estate have tried to get a meeting to figure out what's rhetoric and what's policy. So far, for me, it's been crickets. I think it's a mistake on his part. I'm a rational person. I'm only interested in one thing, and I think he has to address this. I get it what he's doing on the rhetoric, everything's for free and rents don't go up. What happens on new builds? We need to build a new building. So let's say we need 20% more affordable housing. Love to invest in that. So we go to the debt and we go to the equity markets to do that. So my simple question to him is, look, I understand what you're trying to do, and you got to get elected, but tell me how you're going to do this. I got to put $50 million into a building to build it, just to get it going. And the market's going to want probably somewhere between an 8 and 11% return on the construction financing. And then when I stabilize it, they'll be happy with 7-8% return. You're telling me I have to have frozen rent rates, even going into 3% inflation. How am I going to be able to raise any money for a new build? Not just me, anybody. How can anybody, including you, by the way, you, Mr. Free for Everything guy, how are you going to get that money out of the market when the return is negative? Now, what is the answer to...
Well, what he wants to do is he wants the government to buy it, right? That's what he wants. But again, that costs money, right? It costs money for the government to buy stuff, right? But that is what he wants. His answer is, well, we'll just have the government do it, right? We'll have the government do the job of what private investors, private developers are supposed to be doing. And again, we know that's going to be a disaster because the government is not good at that. But again, we're going to see.
To that, because people should ask themselves, how are we going to get a new building to live in or to have an office in or a store in the city of New York, which is in itself a country, when there's a zero return policy, a negative return policy on capital? Now, that's what's going on here. So if you're thinking of voting for this guy, you're going to continue to live in rat holes as they deteriorate. But worse, there'll be no new builds.
Right.
Zero.
Yeah.
So I think he should... Maybe not me. Doesn't want to talk to me. No problem.
Well, he doesn't want to talk to you because he can't answer that question. Like, there's no answer to the question you just posed to him.
I've got
that he will have
what I want to do is sit him down and say, look, I got millions of followers, great American entrepreneurs, families, millions of them. You don't have to go on TV and talk about this. Come on my TV. Let's just record an interview together, and I'll post it, and you explain what you're going to do here to attract capital. And I'm the first $1 million check.
You know.
Yeah, so you seen that you're that. Basically what Kevin O'Leary is saying is that Zohran Mamdani's plan is not attractive to private investors. You need private investors. You need capital flowing into a city. You need supply side stimulus. That's not what Zohran Mamdani is campaigning on, right? That's not his plan, right? His plan is to essentially say, hey, we're going to freeze the rent and we're going to disincentivize any private investment in building more housing, which is not going to help housing costs of the units that are not rent controlled, okay? And if you rent control everything and nobody can make money, then the capital is going to flee the city, and then you're not going to have any money to fund all of your socialist handouts, right? So again, this is going to be a disaster, and Kathy Hochul has attached herself to a disaster, and Elise Stefanik, all she needs to do is to take advantage of the fact that Kathy Hochul is associated with the disaster. She endorsed the disaster, and I think she'll be fine, okay? As long as she sticks to the core issue. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.